The grid for this race based on the results of the first one, and it reads as follows. 71 Pete Smith and 41 Ollie Attard in the Lotus Cortinas on the front row. Second row 77 Alan Greenall, who we've just heard from, and James Everard in the Alfa Romeo. Row 3 Barry Syme with his Mini and Pete Halford in his Ford Mustang. Fourth row Harvey Deeth in the Mini and Roger Stanford in number 11 the Lotus Cortina. Crossed the line fourth in race 1, but he got a penalty for exceeding track limits, so was relegated to 8th position. The fifth row, we've got Michael Sheraton in his Ford Anglia and David Hall's Lotus Cortina. Row 6, Piers Grange with his Mustang and Kevin Bottomley in his Mini. I don't think Michael Sheraton's there, unfortunately, so it looks like the Anglia's missing. Row 7, Robin Slater in his Anglia, John McGurk, Lotus Cortina. The 8th row, Nathan Williams and Roger Ebden in their Minis. 9th row, James Ibbotson, class winner in race 1 with his Hillman Imp, and Patrick Keneally with his Cortina. 10th row, we have Martin Reynolds with his Ford Anglia alongside Neil Bray in his Mini. Row 11, Alex Williams and Andy Mesham, Anglia and Mini again. The 12th row, Kevin Swan and Eric Walker, pair of Anglias. Pair of Hillman Imps on row 13, Freddie Brown and Mike Loveland. Row 14, Patrick Harris in the Morris Minor alongside James Gibbons in the Alfa Romeo. Row 15, Keith Wright, Morris Minor, John Storer in the Lancia. Row 16, we're going down to the non-finishers from race 1 now. Pete Winstone in his Anglia, Luke Wilson's Austin A40, then Tony Palmer's Cortina, James Burrow's Mini, and it's not Brian Bedford in the Austin A40, it is now Steve Evans. Of course, two drivers sharing that car, so it is Steve Evans in the Austin A40, number 26, who will start at the back of the grid, having not competed in race 1. The grid just being formed into line at the back. The green flag is up at the back of the grid. Lotus Cortinas on the front row, away they go. And down towards the first corner. Good start by Peter Smith from pole position. A snaking start from Alan Greenall, still fired up in his Falcon, up into second place. Good start by Roger Stanford as well. He'll be fired up after losing a few spots with that penalty from race 1 as well. Away they go out towards the complex. It's a 15-minute race. Up the inside there, Ollie Attard. And look at James Everard in the Alfa Romeo side by side with Roger Stanford. Behind them, Pete Halford. Michael Sheraton, unfortunately, is not there in his navy blue Ford Anglia. Problems at the end of race 1. He had a very slow last lap and pulled off on the slowdown lap, so he's not there. One of the Minis sliding about there on the outside as they head towards Hanger Straight for the first time. Steve Evans at the back in the Austin A40. There's Alan Greenall pulling ahead of Ollie Attard. There's Pete Halford as well. They start to sort themselves out, then they come round towards the end of the opening lap. Smoke from one of the Minis there, locking up a bit into Stowe Corner. Number 7, Kevin Bottomley, has had a poor start. He was quite well up on the grid in his Mini, but it is number 71, number matching his age, as we heard in his interview earlier on. Pete Smith, who leads the way from Alan Greenall, Ollie Attard and James Everard fourth in the Class C leading Alfa Romeo. Sideways out of club corner there, Pete Halford in the Ford Mustang chasing now Roger Stanford, who in turn is chasing James Everard. Halford just pulls ahead of both of them. The grunt of that Ford Mustang V8 pulling him ahead up into 4th position. Stanford got through there as well. More significance though for Everard is that he is leading Class C ahead of the Minis. 2 Minis in there, Harvey Deeth and the 25 of Barry Syme, the Scotsman. Plenty of tyre smoke as they slip and slide their way around, driving on the limit of adhesion. Everard to the inside, heading to pass Roger Stanford. Robin Slater getting the Anglia ahead of Piers Grange in his Mustang there. The Fords of differing sizes battling it out. There's the key to the class colours. Class A, the big V8s, the Mustangs and the Falcon. No drivers in Class B for this meeting. Class C, Minis, Anglias and Alfa Romeos. Class D is Morris Minors and Austin A40s. Class E, Hillman Imps. Class F, the Lotus Cortinas. There's James Ibbotson in his lovely navy blue imp going through the shot. Here the leaders at Vale. Pete Smith up front in the number 71 Lotus Cortina, the ex-rally driver. Explains why he's so sideways all the time, but not as sideways as Alan Greenall, the reigning Class A champion in that big Ford Falcon. Look at the way Pete Halford is going in the Ford Mustang. He's closing on the top three. Looking at the lap times, yes, he's done the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.475, nearly a second quicker than Pete Smith on that last lap. Everard holding off the minis. Harvey Deeth in the number 182, 25 of Barry Syme behind him. Again, a lock up there from Greenall. He's run wide. Ollie Attard having a look on the inside. He's way off to the outside there. He's going to lose second place and possibly a bit more. Now, Greenall doesn't want to lose out to Pete Halford because that's for the lead of Class A, and he'll lose class points towards the overall championship if he loses out to the Mustang. 5th is Roger Stanford, 6th is Everard, then the minis. 7th and 8th for Deeth and Syme. Here comes Greenall using the grunt of the big Ford Falcon at the outside, side by side with Ollie Attard in his Lotus Cortina. There's the battle for the lead of Class C, the Alpha, the two minis, and they've got a Lotus Cortina behind them. That is David Hall, number 57. Barry Syme, that beautiful blue mini. Ex-Formula Ford racer several years ago, Barry Syme. Pete Smith continues to set the pace. Just under 11 minutes of the race to go. Classic Team Lotus livery on the Lotus Cortinas. They're not all in the traditional white and green stripe livery. Roger Stanford's car, the British Racing Green with the yellow stripe. His son Jack has raced alongside him in the past in their BMW days. There we can see the leaders in each class. Smith leads Class F, Greenall Class A, Everard Class C. It's James Ibbotson in Class E. Class D, Patrick Harris, the reigning overall champion in his Morris Minor. Smith continues to head the pack. Pete Halford could be one to watch as long as his tyres and brakes hold up on the big Mustang. James Everard sideways there in the background. He needs to be careful of his tyres in the Alfa Romeo, or the minis will be through like a shot. Into Stoke-on. There's Roger Stanford on his own in 5th position. Here's the Class C battle. Is Harvey Deeth waiting to make a move, the veteran mini racer, number 182 from Huntingdon. Here's a battle further back. That's number 12, Nathan Williams, runner-up in the championship last year, the reigning Class C champion. He's got John McGurk in his Cortina on his tail. It's Halford, number 31, been racing Ford Mustangs for many years of various types. He's raced the 70s Boss Mustang as well. Type that I believe was Brian Muir raced in British saloon cars in the 70s. Ford Falcon, of course, the big star in them in the late 60s, early 70s was the great Australian Frank Gardner. Successful with Alan Mann Racing. Haven't got any Alan Mann coloured cars in this race, no Alan Mann Racing replicas. The Cortinas and Escorts they were known for, as well as the Falcon. Still in 5th position. The first 4 have certainly broken away here. 1.5 seconds was the lead gap at the line last time through, as Ollie Attard now coming under pressure from Alan Greenall, weaving about there in the big Falcon. Here he comes using his V8 grunt down the straights, but Ollie Attard holds him off. Tina stronger on the brakes. 4th place is still Pete Halford. Mustang just keeping a watching brief there. He wants the lead of Class A. He just doesn't need to catch the Cortinas. He just needs to get past Alan Greenall, keeping him busy here. Still Stanford in 5th position, sliding the Cortina around there. Just over 7.5 minutes to go, so we're coming up to half distance, and there's been a change for the lead in Class C. We see there Harvey Deeth has taken the lead of Class C. Now here comes Barry Syme trying for 2nd place. So the Alfa Romeo of James Everard has lost the class lead. He took the win in Class C in race 1, taking on the minis. It was the mini of Nathan Williams, who was the Class C champion last year. He's currently only 5th in class, down in 14th overall. There's David Hall. Next in the order, the first of the Anglias, Robin Slater. There is Harvey Deeth. Slides the mini. James Everard has a look up the inside. Deeth displaying the driving style of Sir John Whitmore and John Love, who were the early 60s British saloon car champions in the Mini days, before the Lotus Cortinas came along. Only driver is back up the inside, James Everard. He goes through. Good move by James Everard in the Alfa Romeo. I was about to say there, the man who won the British Saloon Car Championship in Anglia in the 60s was John Fitzpatrick, the long-time sports car racer and entrance in his later years. Look at the way Everard's working that Alfa Romeo. That is superb. Really throwing that car around. Now, the Everard family have competed in rallies in that car in the past, and it shows. Trying to cover the inside there. Here comes Harvey Deeth again, trying to retake the class lead. Meantime, there's just over a second in it at the front of the field. It's still Smith from Attard, then Greenhall and Halford for the lead of the race. They're coming in the back marker traffic now. Still Everard holds the advantage over the Minis. Lock up there from Roger Stanford. On his own in 5th position. Having a lonely race. He's about 5 seconds down on the lead quartet as Everard power slides his way through Beckett's. Back with our lead battle. Smith from Attard, lapping Keith Wrights, the plumber and heating engineer from Bedfordshire, in his Morris Minor, and Steve Evans in the Brian Bedford Austin A40. Barry Syme having a look, trying to take second in class away, and he does so into Stowe from Harvey Deeth. Just over 5 minutes to go. Oh, we've got a rollover. What's happened there? Who's that? A car on its side. I think that might be Kevin Bottomley's Mini, judging by the colour of it. Yes, it's Kevin Bottomley, the number 7 Mini, the man from Kent, is on his side at Vale Corner. Not sure what has happened there, unfortunately, but that might be a safety car. We've only got just under 5 minutes of the race to go. There are the leaders heading through towards Beckett's. There it is, Pete Smith. He's got Ollie Attard having a look there as they come through Beckett's. Again, Pete Holford sliding the Mustang, slim 4th behind Alan Greenall. Still Pete Smith leads the way. Now Greenall goes through up into 2nd place. Now that'll protect his class advantage because he's put Attard, or has he? No, Attard back up the inside. He locks up side by side. This is close between the two Fords. Still side by side on the run towards Vale, but Greenall's got the inside there. He wants to put Attard between himself and Pete Holford. Over the line come some of the slower markers, including the number 1 of Patrick Harris, the reigning overall champion there. Still Peter Smith holds his lead. Side by side for second. Absolutely together over the line. Attard and Greenall. And here comes Pete Holford. He says, well, if you're going to scrap it out, I'll have a piece of this as well. He can't quite get past Ollie Attard. But now Alan Greenall's got his cushion because he wants that Class A victory. There's car number 1. That's Patrick Harris. And we've got a red flag. The red flag is coming out, not surprisingly, with that car on its side in the gravel trap at the Vale. And the race is being stopped with 3.5 minutes to go, so I suspect that will be a declared result. Where is Patrick Harris? He will take the win in Class D this time. Double champion in the Morris Minor, Patrick Harris from Seaford. It was the late Tony Preston won several titles in this category in his Morris Minor. There is the Mini of Kevin Bottomley on its side in the gravel at Vale. Let's hope he's okay. The car's coming in, so that will be a declared result. Peter Smith takes his 2nd win, provisionally ahead of Alan Greenall in 2nd overall. He will win Class A. Ollie Attard 3rd. 4th for Pete Holford, 5th for Roger Stanford, and 6th for James Everard, and he will win Class C in the Alfa Romeo, the sideways Alfa Romeo. Barry Symes 7th, Harvey Deeth 8th, David Hall 9th and Robin Slater 10th. We'll confirm that officially in a moment. There we see on the left of your picture the Mini of Kevin Bottomley on its side. The driver is okay, and the telehandler coming out to recover it. There's checkered flag now shown on the timing screen, so that's end of race. And it looks like it's been counted back to the lap before the incident, so that has, I think, saved Ollie Attard, who will take second place. Yes, the timing screen has just updated itself, and Ollie Attard second ahead of Alan Greenall, but Greenall will still win Class A. Doesn't change Class C either, because Everard ahead of Simon Deeth is the provisional result there. There we see it, Pete Smith the winner ahead of Ollie Attard, the result taken from the lap before the incident. Alan Greenall in third place, Pete Holford takes fourth in the Mustang. Roger Stanford is fifth and third in class. James Everard wins Class C in sixth position ahead of Barry Simon, Harvey Deeth in their Minis. David Hall is next home in ninth. Robin Slater 10th ahead of Piers Grange in the Mustang. John McGurk is 12th. Pat Keneally is 13th ahead of Nathan Williams 14th. And Andy Mesham, a quiet weekend for him in his Mini, taking 15th place. Neil Bray is 16th ahead of the Class E winner, James Ibbotson. Good start for him, a double class win. Martin Reynolds next in his Anglia, then Alex Williams with his Anglia, similar machine of Ez Walker and Kevin Swan. Freddie Brown and Michael Loveland in their Imps next home, then Patrick Harris, the winner of Class D. Then it was James Gibbons in his Alfa Romeo. 68, Keith Wright. Steve Evans from the back of the grid was next ahead of Roger Ebden, and we lost Bottomley and Burrows in their Minis. That concludes the action this weekend then for the Pultec Classic Race Engines Pre66 touring cars. The winner, Peter Smith, at the double this weekend in his Lotus Cortina. Congratulations to him. A double victory for the Class F man. As we say, the result going back to the lap before the red flag there, which gives Ollie Attard second place over Alan Greenall. Kevin Bottomley's Mini, not too much major damage, just a bit to the roof line there. He'll have that back out later in the season, I'm sure. The main thing is Kevin is okay.